Hey, welcome guys back to the channel. Maverick here with episode 6 of Kaguya-sama. So last episode, we got sidetracked a little bit from the entire election, right? We got Shogane and Fujiwara off doing some various other stuff, which was, of course, quite funny as well. But at the very end of last episode, it seems that we are back with the election process, and we got Kaguya stepping up and doing some things, right? In the Shinomiya way, pulling some strings in the shadows, getting one of the candidates to drop out, and then also extending an offer to Miko as well. Now, personally, I think she should have taken that offer. I went into detail in the last episode. I think Miko is lacking in a lot of things, in experience, and knowing how to actually take other people's positions into consideration, broadening her horizons and all that. So I really think that that would have been a perfect opportunity for her to actually get some good experience and then maybe run later in the following year. But Miko being Miko, of course, suiting her character, she rejected. Well, let's just see what's going to happen, right? Now, personally, I have no doubt that Shogane is going to win. It's just the way that these things generally are. But I think it's the process that's going to be interesting, right? Because obviously, for this to be an arc, we're going to have to make things a little bit exciting. So let's see how the anime does it. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Hmm? I don't want to make Miko Iino smile. Does Ishigami have some story with Miko? My question exactly. Oh, Hito. Swallowing a person. That's very old school. Okay, this is also a very special girl as well. Mm, I like those eyes. What's with this background music? Okay, I go first. Yeah, I would expect so. Mm. Oh, this is celebrity power. Oh, getting people to wake up. Yeah. But that's just public speaking 101. You know, when you enter a room or whatnot, when you have an audience and you see that. Okay, I like this. Showing actual results as well. There really are that many people who takes takes such an anti outsider attitude, eh? I'm not sure if that's something that needs a standing ovation for, but okay. But it grabs people and attention, right? Shameless baloney. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, this is just presentation 101, public speaking 101. Nice presentation. Well, the onus is on you guys to actually present it. Alright, so what approach is Miko gonna take? Stage fright? I mean, kind of harsh, but honestly, if you're running for a president position, a leadership position, you gotta be able to speak in public. Yeah, being kind to your opponent. I mean, yeah, sure. There's no reason for for him to you know, she's already dead. You don't need to continue chopping up her corpse. I mean, I'm assuming that this is supposed to make us feel sympathy for her, but I mean, wouldn't the motivation be kind of a personal reason as well? But the right thing is from your perspective. Who's to say you're actually in the right? Oh, alright. Anyways, Shogun here to save the day. Oh. Looks like it's gonna be a pretty creative way to save the day. You know what? I'm calling it right now. I think he's going to invite her to be on the student council. Maybe he's going to completely destroy her, what she's doing right now, but then also acknowledge that he likes her attitude, things like that. Cute. Oh. Okay, I do like this. Presenting what she wants to do based on evidence as well. Yeah, that's quite a logic jump. What? And once again, that is a... That's just putting your personal preference into this. I guess reforming the school image is a good cause, though. That... Oh, I see. So he's turning this into basically a debate instead. Which is good, actually, because, you know, rather than, you know, the very boring, each person comes up and states what they want, having a debate grabs people's attention, right? Yeah. I mean, what were you expecting? Good job. Ah, and there we go. He's gonna invite her into the student council. Really? Only 40 votes? What? Okay. Probably gonna celebrate in private. Oh. Oh, she was nervous. Alright. Yeah, I feel like the results were a bit too close to... Hmm. Oh yeah, she's not supposed to, you know, act like that. Jeez, Hasaka, do you have teleportation ability or something? Come on, girl, you own a lot to him. Alright, that's a good friend. Yep. Oh, did Kaguya not actually invite her to join the student? I think she. Okay, okay. She didn't actually invite her to join the student council last episode. I wonder if things would have went differently if she did invite her. What about the vice president? What about Kaguya? Oh, really? I mean, I guess it's only fair that Shigane helps. Well, hmm. Still though, the margin is a little bit too close for my liking, considering what we started out with. Now she's throwing a tantrum. When did he call you his wife again? Yeah. Yeah, maybe kind of true. Oh, president's outside. Man, Hayasaka is seriously a ninja here. What? She's gonna be like, "What are you saying, Shirogane? Of course! Only I am suitable to be the vice president." Oh, really? That weak? Alright. Is she embarrassed? A little bit. Oh. And here we are. The next student council. Ah, and this is Miko, right? Oh, welcome aboard. Alrighty, so that was that. I will see you guys after this. Alrighty, so there we conclude the election arc, I'm presuming, with the expected re-election of Shirogane, and everything is right with the world again. And I think my particular highlight for this episode would probably be at the end there with Kaguya, particularly her outburst with her basically sort of thinking of herself and Shirogane as husband and wife, and then doing the entire wife complaining about the husband kind of thing. Like, that was hilarious to me. Like, how more obvious could you be, Kaguya? And the very endings and the ending scene between Kaguya and Shirogane was also kind of funny as well. Although I was seriously expecting her to instantly revert back to her normal self, right? The normal strong-willed Kaguya that we've always seen, and being like, of course I am the only one suitable to be the vice president. I'll gladly be, that kind of thing, right? She definitely acted a lot more weaker and cuter than I expected there. But yeah, anyways, back to the episode at hand. Okay, so I think I gotta say something first. Typically for these sort of review sessions, my musing section, I do them in all my videos. For the Kaguya series in particular, though, I don't take it very seriously because Kaguya-sama is, after all, more of a comedy series, right? So I typically focus this review session more on the various highlights that I enjoyed about the episode, and sometimes some trivia in regards to the various topics of the episode at hand. So it's not that serious of a thing. Now, however, for this episode in particular, I am going to have to be a bit more serious and critical, and I'm certain that there's a lot of people who are here for this series in particular who might not be normal viewers of my other works, and if so, that is fine. You don't have to watch this part. I'm just saying this in advance because obviously different people are searching and expecting different kinds of things, right? Some people are just here for the laughs. They want to see me laugh. That's fine and all. So this is warning in advance, right? So I'm going to dedicate this particular review session to Miko. And also, I feel like I need to put up this disclaimer first. What I'm about to say has nothing to do with Miko as a character. All right, I'm going to be purely judging her based on her qualifications as a candidate for the presidency. Now, as you might expect, I'm going to be quite critical and harsh here, and I feel like, I know, in this day and age, people are not going to take they're not going to take this in stride and whatnot. So I need to re-emphasize this point. It has nothing to do with her as a character. She's cute, she's hardworking, she's serious. I do like characters with convictions as well. I'm still lukewarm towards her. Maybe we'll learn more about her in the future and so on and so forth. But I'm only going to be doing this section purely based on her qualifications as a candidate. All right. So with that out of the way, I'll just get straight to it. I really cannot take her seriously as a candidate for the presidency of the Academy, and I think it is honestly ridiculous that she even got half as many votes as she did. So, in terms of a democracy, the whole ideal of democracy is that people are able to choose those that are best able to represent them, and those that are most able in a certain position or office. Right. At least that's how it's supposed to be anyways. We're not supposed to actually be voting just purely based on whether we like a particular person or not. We think he's a good guy or out of sympathy, right? Sympathetic voting is definitely one of the things that I hate the most. You're supposed to vote for someone who is most qualified for the position and who is most able to act out the duties and responsibilities of that position here. Now, I feel like, even without talking about anything else, just the fact that she's not able to get up on stage and have a public speech or may have a public presentation, that already instantly disqualifies her from running for the presidency. I'm not saying that she has to be like Shogane or Shinomiya, right? She could be. Different people have different opinions on how they like their politicians to be. I'm going to use a politician as a reference here because that's sort of similar, right? It is kind of politics as well. So some people are more enjoying the more straightforward people. Some people might deem that crass or offensive, but some people enjoy that, right? And they want it to be straight to the point and not sugarcoat everything. Whereas some people will prefer those that are more politically correct, smooth talking, and maybe still some others will prefer people who are calm, tempered, collected, taking that type of approach to public speaking. But I think when you look at it, we're not going to be expecting to choose a leader, to choose a president who can't literally can't even talk coherently. Right, and just going to freeze up once that person is up on stage, once she's up on stage. It's just not, because you have to understand, it's not only this particular election stage as well. She's going to have numerous opportunities to talk in front of many others, impromptu speeches, student gatherings, not only student gatherings, but like club meetings, budget meetings. She's going to have to speak in front of the school administration as well, so on and so forth. And not only that, not only for those internal matters, she's also going to be the face and representation of the Academy for outside matters. So anything that is needing her to represent the Academy in the outside world. Indeed, for instance, just in the last season, we had this particular arc where there was this French exchange students coming to the Academy, right? So would you really want her to be representative of the Academy in this sort of situation? I don't really think so, right? And so I feel like just that in itself is already disqualifying her from running for the candidacy. But of course, I'm not only going to be basing my discussion on this point. That is just one, but I think just that one enough is indeed critical enough to disqualify her. The other thing I want to talk about here is in regards to the entire bullying thing, I guess you could say. So I don't know. I know that during that flashback and all that, we were supposed to feel sympathetic towards her and so on and so forth. And indeed, I'm sure that I already mentioned this before, right? I have nothing against her as a character, as a person. We don't want people to get bullied and so on and so forth, right? However, I do kind of feel like they're looking at this from an entirely me perspective, right? Especially her friend there. I think she had there was this one line of dialogue saying that why is Miko being attacked when she's trying to do the right thing, right? And somehow they can't wrap their heads around the fact that what she's doing might not necessarily be the right thing, right? And I feel like that is actually irking me the most out of all of this, because it reminds me a lot of the current political figures in the current world that somehow always try to adopt this politically correct, holier than you attitude, and somehow like, I'm in the right, I'm this paragon of justice and whatnot, and because you disagree with me, you're low, you're scum, your opinions are not to be taken into consideration, and so on and so forth, right? I just want to emphasize that one party view as right and just could easily be another person's wrong. And not understanding that different people have different perspectives, they're coming from different viewpoints, they have different priorities and whatnot, is very, very dangerous, right? And I feel like Miko and her friend are kind of falling into the same sort of fallacy as well. You're saying that what you're trying to do is just the right thing and being just and right and whatnot, but again, I gotta say, most people are reasonable, okay? Most people are reasonable. If you say something that, you're not supposed to be breaking the rules and whatnot, like, say, for instance, the police. Obviously, we would like freedom, we would like, we like to do a lot of things, but, generally speaking, well, I guess it depends on country by country, but you're not going to go and pick a fight against the police just because you're annoyed by them enforcing the law, right? Sure, you might feel kind of irked sometimes when you're doing something like, say, for instance, taking a illegal right turn or something like that, or illegal parking, and you'd be like, damn it, I got fined again and whatnot. But you're not going to take out your temper on them, right? You're not going to take out your emotions on them. So in order to actually be hated and despised by some people, that means that what Miko is doing is actually a bit overboard, right? There's always two sides to a situation. I'm not just going to be defending her just because, we're supposed to feel sympathetic towards her and she is part of the main cast, I presume, right? So, I kind of feel bad for her. Obviously, nobody wants to wish ill on another person, but I also don't blame the other students for acting that way, because at the end of the day, I feel like she probably brought that on herself, and I'm not entirely convinced that she's in the right? And not to mention, politicians are called public figures for a reason, because everything you're doing is going to fall under scrutiny of the general public, of the media, etc., etc. You're going to receive criticism, you're going to get attacked, and that's just part of the associated risk of that particular profession. It's the same as if you are a firefighter and your associated risk is that you might die of a fire, or you might die of inhaling smoke, right? Obviously, we don't wish that to happen, and if it happens, it is indeed a tragedy, and we want to do everything we can to prevent it, but I'm just saying that it's part of the job, just as being attacked because of the positions you take is also part of a politician's job, and you need to face that situation. So, I know this might seem a little bit harsh and all that, but like I said, I'm viewing Miko as a character and Miko as this, as a candidate in two different perspectives here. And not to mention, and this one other thing is that I think it's pretty clear by now that Miko is not actually a paragon of justice as I initially believed. Although I guess that might just be prejudice on my part, I fully admit to that. She never said that she was a paragon of justice, right? But I think the way that the anime or the way that the work presented her indeed made her out to be this sort of very just person that only obeyed justice, and that was it, right? However, particularly when we see here with the flashback with her parents and whatnot, yeah, it's a sad situation and all that. But what I'm saying here is, if you think about it, her motivation for taking up the mantle of justice was for very personal reasons, right? And it wasn't even a personal reason as in, it's not for the greater good of society, it's not for the greater good of humanity, it's not that kind of thing. It's purely because she was upset that her parents were always away, and somehow, through some sort of childish logic and thinking, she's blaming society for these problems, when what I want to say is, girl, your problems are purely your parents' problems alone. It's your parents that have a problem, they need to fix it, it's not society, alright? So, I don't know, I know that entire flashback was meant for us to sympathize with her, and I'm sure that lots of people are probably also falling onto Camp Miko because of this, but for me, I'm just looking at that and I'm just thinking, but that just makes you not actually a figure of justice at all, right? Then again, this isn't unprecedented, right? Even back in episode 4, I mentioned how I don't feel like she's going through this sort of thing from a very objective, from a very just perspective here, right? Particularly with her trying to nominate Fujiwara as the vice president. If you recall, she never, when she said that she wanted to do that, it was never anything related with her qualifications to be a vice president. It's just purely because, Fujiwara was someone who she respected her music skills and whatnot, and so that was why she wanted her to be the vice president. It was from a purely personal motive, right? So I think we need to actually acknowledge that here and know that even though Miko's entire platform is running on the fact that she is just and whatnot, she is being influenced by a lot of her personal bias as well, and I think that's very important to take note of. And even in this episode, with the shaved heads and uniforms and all of that, that was personal bias and personal opinion being put into that particular policy as well, and not because that was objectively the best way to go about things, right? So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that a candidate has to be completely objective and completely doing things without any personal opinion or bias or whatnot. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, you're allowed. People are just human. You're allowed to have that. But what I'm saying is because her platform is being run on the fact that she is just in and etc. 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 She needs to embody that spirit, right? Otherwise, she would be a hypocrite. Now, with all that being said, I will give her props for one thing, though. Later on, while she was debating with Shogane, I did like how she was bringing data into her debates. It was not just a case of, because I believe in this, so everybody should do this and whatnot. No, she actually brought some evidence, even though honestly, a lot of the evidence was quite shaky. She mentioned some good points as well, right? So I will applaud her fully for that part. That is something that she needs to work on, and how she really needs to expand her platform on. And that is how she is going to be able to really be qualified for this presidency and perhaps be able to actually be elected as president in the future, right? Otherwise, I already made my statement at the beginning of the episode. I feel like she's too inexperienced, she's too naive, and she is lacking in core abilities that is necessary for this position of the student council president. And I still stand by my conclusion in the last episode as well. I feel like her joining the student council is a no-brainer. She should do that. She should try to broaden her horizons. She should try to be more well-rounded, and she should try and understand the opinions of other people and not just entirely think that what she is doing is the correct and right way of doing things, right? So yeah, like I said, I'm not attacking her character or whatnot. It's just that I'm kind of annoyed that due to the votes being this close at the very end here, that somehow everything that was shown in this episode somehow justifies her platform, when to me, honestly, sure, I will feel sympathetic for her as a person, but I would absolutely in a heartbeat take her off the list of qualified candidates. Indeed, if she was actually running for something, like if she was a real character and running for something that was related to me, I would absolutely be voting for her opposition. And I'm not saying this just because I like Shogane, right? Honestly, I don't care if he is re-elected or not. But I would be voting against Miko. That is my point here. Not for Shogane, but against Miko. There's a distinction there. But like I said, again, I don't want you guys to come away from this and take away that, and having the main takeaway being that I dislike Miko as a character or whatnot. That's not my point here. I actually had this is more of a personal experience here. Back in high school, I was actually the class president as well, and during that time, we also had we had someone volunteer to be the sort of morals person in charge of our class. Nobody wanted to volunteer. That dude volunteered, and so he was in charge of the morals. And he got ostracized. And once again, this is every single class has this position, right? Most of them are able to still maintain a good balance of keeping the rules and still not being hated by everybody else. In order to get hated by everyone, you really need to overstep boundaries and be doing things that honestly is not required. You might say, hey, but they are the voice of reform or whatnot, and I'm not gonna get all into that. I'm just saying that in order to actually be hated, you need to really step on a lot of stones, because most people, even students at that age, are not unreasonable. All right. Okay, but obviously bullying is bad. We shouldn't do it. So, there we go for episode 6 of Kaguya-sama. Sorry if this was a little bit long-winded and a little bit more serious than usual, but actually this is how my normal content usually is. Kaguya-sama is a little bit more unique in this respect, because it's more comedy-based, and I think there are more viewers here that are not actually my subscribers who don't watch my other content. So, anyways, but if this is something that actually interests you guys, feel free to check out my other content as well. So that's episode 6. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.